We're live.
We're live on Instagram. And we're live on YouTube and there. Ta-da!
Maybe it'll stay.
Oh, the issues.
So we are alive and well, and we hope that you are alive and well as well. We hope that they're more than alive. We hope that everyone is doing good, that you're blessed.
That they're thriving with vitality.
That you're living with peace and joy and comfort and all those feel-good things that sometimes we have to fight for.
Guess what tonight is?
What?
Tonight is our first class of the Dragonfly 60-Day Transformation.
I knew that. Congratulations.
Yay, yay. So those of you that are joining us, welcome. I can't wait to see you on the inside, or it's going to be fun. It's just going to be a night of getting prepared and getting to know the course. So it's going to be fun. If you have not joined us, there's a link, dragonflyayurveda.com. Get on there and join us. We'd love to have you tonight. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a good time.
Is it too late for those that are still sitting on the fence?
No, it's not too late. And as a matter of fact, you can sign up. Actually, now's the best time to start. But you've got
bang for your.
You're going to miss, if you don't sign up before tonight, then you'll miss the very first live orientation class. But afterwards, if you want to sign up even like a week later, you've got a week to catch up, and then I can share the live video. So, but it's not too late. Please join us. We'd love to have you. But we're going to talk about what we've created in the Dragonfly Plan. And we got, I need to put my phone on. People keep trying to call in. Okay, sorry about the interruption.
We don't take phone calls during this show.
I know they should be watching our show and understanding that. They probably wanted to call and be on the show, I'm sure.
Yes, I think a live guest. Other than just leaving a comment, some people have to call.
Let's see here.
Still not working?
Yeah, I think we're doing okay on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
But all right, so what I was wanting to say, and I got distracted there by the phone calls and all the technical difficulties, is that in the Dragonfly Plan, we've created an environment. But we want to talk about today's show. Originally I had it set as a moon show, like the lunar effects of the moon, but I've just felt this tug on my heart that we needed to change that up about the effects of the environment, the cultural environment that we're living in right now. So did you happen to watch the election Tuesday, or the not the election, the what do you call that, the debates?
The debates.
The presidential debates Tuesday night. Did anyone watch that? I want to sit here on comments here so I can see your comments if you decide to comment, because we love to talk.
We do.
So
it made you realize what a blessed woman you are.
So Mike and I, we had turned off all news and media, and we purposely choose what we're going to watch. So we've eliminated all cable, and we only pick good shows that we want to watch that make us feel good. And we have consciously decided to do that. And I have to admit, though, at the very beginning, it was a little hard not watching the drama of the news. It's an addiction. It creates
so good now.
Oh, it's wonderful to be rid of that. But unfortunately, we get on Facebook to do business, and Instagram, social media, which we're doing business with now. And it can be a wonderful platform, but it can also be another platform of stress, because then you're reading all the media and the news and everything that's going on out there, and you're also seeing people's reactions, which, we can't live like a turtle and an ostrich and stick her head in the sand. Is that the one that sticks her head in the sand?
Yeah, a turtle sucks himself in.
A turtle pulls itself in, and hides, but an ostrich, they say an ostrich will stick his head in the sand. Is an ostrich?
Yes.
Whoever the animal is that sticks their head in the sand, we can't live like that. Now, I've even I've heard go meditate with the monks, and everyone walks away, and including myself, and you just feel so much more peaceful when you've been around somebody. But monks have created an environment of separation completely away, so they can live that way and behave that way because they've created an environment like that. So I wanted to talk about
They're isolated.
They're isolated, yes. And we as normal, regular human beings are not isolated from this world and from the events that happen. And so in the Dragonfly Transformation Program, and even in our Dragonfly membership, we have strived, and we've been building this for years, and building an environment that is a safe place. And what was it that Jody called it? Corinthia, a safe harbor. Or safe.
Bon Secours.
And Bon Secours is another name for a safe harbor. But we have tried very hard in the Dragonfly Plan to create a safe place, meaning we respect everyone's authenticity, and we encourage your authenticity, because in Ayurveda, we all believe that if we're not walking in our authentic, who God made us to be, then we are not completing this beautiful circle of life appropriately. We're not living, in Ayurveda terms or yoga terms, our dharmic, and in Christianity terms, our purpose in life. And we are here for a purpose. And that purpose is to make sure we're living in our unique thumbprint. And so what happened was, when we watched the debates, I have to be completely transparent here. When we watched the debates, I thought it was going to be funny. Go figure. We got snacks.
Yeah, we're like,
we got snacks, and
ready for a prize fight.
let's just sit and snack and laugh and have a good time with this. And from the get-go, I got a sick feeling in my stomach.
Yeah.
Finally, about, I don't know, we were 15 minutes into it. I looked at him, I'm like, I can't handle any more of this. This is awful and embarrassing, and I just don't think this is funny at all. And so I end up like a car wreck, kind of thinking, surely to goodness things are going to change. And it didn't. It just kept getting worse and worse. And by the time it was over with, I turned off the TV, and I'm like, I got a headache. I don't feel good. I've got this impending sense of doom, and I went to bed feeling rotten. And if you study Ayurveda, that's like the worst thing you can do. And so I woke up the next day with this impending sense of doom. And so we believe that we are all divinely connected. So we are connected, and that's part of living our authenticity, is to, when we're all living in our authenticity, we recognize the divinity within us, but we also recognize the divinity in each other. And so we recognize that when we have differing opinions, we appreciate that and we honor that, because everyone has their own walk. And if we are not walking our own walk, then we are not fulfilling that complete circle of divine life. So just for instance, like when we chant Om in yoga, Om is the universal sound of God, or if you don't believe in God, it's just the universal sound. There is
a universal vibration.
Yes, it's a vibration that creates a sound. And so when we chant Om, we all join our unique vibrational sound into the universal sound. It recognizes not only our connection to each other, but our connection when we join our vibrations, that it completes the whole vibration of the universe. So with that being said, so everything is food.
Yep.
Everything we do, say, listen to, the colors, the clothes that you wear, like my shirt. I don't particularly care for the color of it, but it is super soft. My shirt, and so it's cozy, and I like the way it feels. So I'm wearing it today, even though I probably should have a vibrant color on to help this gloom and doom feeling, but I just needed some nurturing, so I chose the softness. And so, but everything is food, so everything is affecting us doshically. So when we made the conscious decision to watch the debates the other night, we fed ourselves with whatever was being fed to us. And so we absorbed a lot of fear. And fear then manifests itself in ways of acting out in behaviors that we normally would not act out in had we been walking and feeling in balance, right?
Yes.
And so when I woke up the next morning with this, just like this spiritual ick feeling in my heart, I just felt just ick, because remember, we are tripartite beings. So everything that affects us, it affects us, our mind, body, and our spirit. And so everything is affected. And so spiritually, I felt spiritually depleted. I felt physically exhausted and ached all over. And then mentally, I just didn't want to do anything. And so then I realized, in feeding ourselves that fear last night, that was the result of that choice that we had made. And so I got to thinking about, there's so much going on in this world. So we're living in a world of a lot of bipolarism.
Strife.
Lots of strife. So we're seeing a lot of violence acting out. That is fear manifesting in action. And so collectively, I believe we're all, especially if you live in the United States, we're all feeling this underlying fear. It's a chronic anxiety and a chronic stress. And I said, there's a different way. There's a different way. And one of the sayings, I even saw it earlier on a gentleman, I think he's hilarious, and I follow him, and he was mentioned, like, be like Gandhi and be the change that you want to see in the world. And really, that's what it's all about. Don't insist everyone else be the change you want to see. You be the change that you want to see. And you, in turn, will change the world by your own behaviors, right? So we're living in a world of a lot of like bullying, a lot of you got to do this and you got to do that. But in fact, if we just stop talking and start living it, then life would change for everyone. If we all did that, we'd all be walking in our authenticity, and then we'd be living in a world of balance. We can live in differences and harmony at the same time. So talking about this too, we're being fed lots of stuff that is very conflicting and very confusing to our psyche, our minds. So I'll give you a good, for instance, and it's a fact. Baby, it's cold outside has been deemed offensive. And so and that's an old song. When was that written, honey?
It's like the 40s or 50s.
Oh, I thought it was even in the 30s, maybe.
It may have been, but it's an old song.
Lovely song. Innocence.
And what's it about? Not going outside in the rain because it's cold.
It's snow, wasn't it?
Oh, snow. Sorry.
Yeah. It was snowing, I think. You know,
So
we'll just have to listen to the.
So spend the night.
Yeah, it was a guy old-fashionedly coming on to a lady, and she was playing hard to get, that kind of thing. The way it was culturally back then. And so now that's been deemed offensive and removed from the airways. But guess what the #1 song is right now?
I know.
Cardi B's WAP. And if you've never listened to Cardi B's WAP, please don't. It's a horrible song. I personally have never heard it. I had to Google the lyrics, and well, actually, you read it to me because I said, honey, Google the lyrics to that, because what could possibly be so bad? And he read like 4 sentences of it, and I said, I don't want to hear any more of it. So when we're being told that baby, it's cold outside is offensive, yet that WAP is #1 song. And these are the same people telling us, by the way, the same people that listen to the WAP are the same people telling us that baby, it's cold outside is offensive. And like Little House on the Prairie books they're offensive. All these things that are our history and innocent. And if we look at things in context, they're appropriate, right? And even if you're familiar with Florida and Sarasota, Florida, we've had controversy even over our beautiful and iconic, the Kiss statue. What is that statue called?
The kissing statue.
The kissing statue. And if you've ever been to Sarasota, Florida, you got to go see the kissing statue. And everyone gets their picture taken posing like this kissing statue underneath the kissing statue. So it's really cute because we ride our bikes and do a lot of running in that area. And so every time you go by that statue, there's people reenacting the kissing statue, and it's adorable. It's a thing, but we have had such big controversy now for several years about people trying to remove the kissing statue. One person even ran into it with their car. That's how bad it is. They've graffitied it, and it's just sad. And they say it's a sign of sexual assault, when in fact it's a sign. It was a picture, an iconic picture was taken, and it was a celebration of the end of the war. It's a celebratory statue. And so that all kind of ties back into your show last week on perspective. It's all about perspective, right? So I look at the statue and I see celebration. I see happiness. I see an ending to times that were bad, and it was just so amazing and so overcoming with happiness that you grab whatever person's next to you and you give them a kiss, right? So those that say no, it's a sexual assault, and you wouldn't understand because you're not sexually assaulted, I beg to differ. So that is a matter of healing. And so if something like that takes place and it triggers you into thinking that an innocent thing is a bad thing, then we've got some healing to do within us, right?
Yeah.
Is use these things that trigger, and I don't even like that word trigger. It's been overused so much, but use those things that make you mad and turn it around and use it as reflection on yourself. Why is that making me mad? Then perhaps I need to do some healing on myself. And if I do some healing on myself, then I will be a better vibration and healing force in the world and to the people around me. And therefore, I will be walking in my Dharma.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you would use, we don't plan a whole lot of what we say. We kind of have an idea.
It's all.
But I think it's interesting that you use the word trigger. Seems to be coming up a lot in counseling sessions that I do. But there's the word offense. Offense or becoming offended. The word offense, the Greek word for that is scandalon. And what it means, that word is the trigger on the trap. It is a bent sapling. The word offense means the bent sapling is, have you ever watched the show Alone? We have.
Yes.
And they'll do anything to build a trap to catch an animal. Sometimes they'll bend a small tree, and when an animal puts his foot in the trigger and it sets the trap off, then it catches the animal. The animal becomes entangled and eventually loses his life. So the same word for offense in the Greek is scandalon, and it means to hit the trigger on the trap. So the word picture that goes along with that is, in some countries in Africa, they will hunt for monkeys. And so what the hunters will do, and they'll either hunt them for food or hunt them to capture them to sell or to distribute in other different ways. But a hunter will take a gourd, hollow out the gourd, cut a hole in it, just big enough for a monkey to put his hand in. And they'll take some fresh fruit, cut it up, put it inside the gourd, and attach the gourd to the tree. The hunter will hide just a few feet away, and eventually a monkey or herd of monkeys, I don't know if monkeys are herds or flocks or whatever they are. I guess if they're flying monkeys, they're flocks. But a monkey will, will come by. Wizard of Oz. So a monkey will come by, smell the fruit, stick his hand in the gourd, and put it in his fist. As soon as the hunter sees that the monkey has reached in and grabbed the fruit, he can very calmly, he doesn't have to run, he doesn't have to go. The monkey's got his hand in the jar, in the gourd. He can approach the monkey because the monkey will try to get out. The monkey will pull and pull and pull on the gourd to get his hand out of the gourd. But you know what? As long as he has his fist made and he's holding onto the fruit, he can't get his hand out, and he's easily captured. And he either ends up losing his life or losing his freedom in some way. And, we're a lot like that. We become offended. we grab onto things that we refuse to let go of,
Mm-hmm.
and it ends up costing us emotionally, physically, spiritually. Sometimes it shortens our life just because we live our lives offended. And there's the only solution to that is, there's two solutions, but they both are required. And one is to admit where you're wrong, or to ask forgiveness, or to ask forgiveness, or to offer forgiveness. So many things in life we complicate, and we strip away the simpleness from that. And what we need to do is apply the simpleness to it. If things are triggering me, my wife is such a blessed woman to have me as her husband. And I don't know why she gets offended at so many things that I do. But occasionally she does. Occasionally, it doesn't matter what your relationship is with other people. If there's emotions involved, there are going to be offenses. And what we tend to do is we tend to allow ourselves to be triggered by something that we've refused to get over, that we've refused to let go of. And I know that some things can run pretty deep. So I'm not making light of it, and I'm not making it sound like there's always a quick fix of just forgive and forget, and that makes everything great. Sometimes it's a process of learning to forgive and learning to get over things, or to admit that you're wrong in a situation. Many of us are like Fonzie on Happy Days. If you're older than 40 years old or so, and you remember Happy Days, there was an episode where Fonzie had to say he was wrong, and he just couldn't say it. Arthur Fonzarella, the Fonz, would struggle with, I was wrong, and eventually he said he was wrong. And so many times, becoming untrapped, becoming unscandalized is a matter of repenting or asking forgiveness where we need to, or forgiving others where we need to. Or sometimes it's not another person. Sometimes it's a thing, or it's an issue, or it's a stance that somebody has that we've let come between us. There's so many issues that divide our country right now. There's so many families that are divided, so many friends that are divided because one of them's blue and one of them's red. And God loves both colors, by the way. And
yes.
Both sides have strengths, both sides have weaknesses, both sides have things that make you scratch your head and go, what the hell? But anyway, we can let go of the trigger. As long as we hold on to the offense, every time a particular thing happens, it triggers us, it scandalizes us. It's the same word that we get scandal from.
Well, it's a clue that we need healing ourselves.
We do, it is.
So anytime that we find ourselves getting angry or upset, it's not about whatever is going on. It really isn't. It's a key and an indicator that's what's going on within you eternally. And that's what we teach.
Or me. Or you, or us.
Right. I mean, yes, that's what I mean. It's like, it's a time for reflection. When you get angry or irritated, it is a time for reflection to ask yourself why. What is it that's within you that needs to be healed, right?
Yes.
And so in the Dragonfly 60-day plan, we teach you how to learn who you are, because in my years of being an Ayurvedic health counselor and then Ayurvedic practitioner, and then beyond that, an RN, in the years that I've spent in the healthcare industry, which is like 30 some years now. Now that's like a long time.
You're old.
Yeah. And so my point was
the Dragonfly plan.
Yes. Oh, the things that we believe we do not have choices over is a false belief, and that we have a choice on how we want to live. I was returning to authenticity. So in Ayurveda, when I see somebody as an Ayurvedic practitioner, it's generally a case of that person simply forgetting who they were made to be. Their authentic, original, what we call in Ayurveda, their prakriti, their doshic blueprint, the way God intended you to believe. If you believe in God, it's the way God made you. And what we get caught up in is what the world tells us that we need to be. And then we start to, and it begins at a child, unless you've had just amazing, unbelievably accepting and gift recognizing parents, which we know we're all human. You want your child to grow up and be a success in the world, right? So my point is that we start being programmed from the minute we're born all the way up to, and we start forgetting who we are. We're being told who we are by society. We have to measure up by society's standards, rules, and regulations. We're told what is successful. We're told what happiness is. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, it's all a farce, because you have it inside of you. Each of us has it inside of us that knows what happiness is. We know that, and we've lost that connection to who we are made authentically. I can't get the word out. And that's when I see people that sit in front of me, and generally, believe it or not, most of my clients are my age and older. It's people that have hit midlife and going forward, and they have been so caught up in raising families. They've lost themselves, probably as a child it began, and then lost themselves through the process of being a mother or a father, and then a career. And then now that you have some time to breathe and you become an empty nester, then you're like, what the hell? Who am I? And we lost ourselves. And then you start and more than likely have had physical symptoms or mental symptoms for years, and have put a Band-Aid on it with a medication. And so then that will allow you a year or two more to cope. And I say just to live and cope, and not living in your vitality and your authenticity, not thriving, and you're just living. And so it enabled you to do that. And then by the time I see, it's this, like, we've got an onion and we've got years of work to do to unravel that. So we have a choice. And that's my point, is that we have a choice that when we are living today in what I call, and I labeled this show this, which is not really typically our nature to talk like this, but it's a shit show. When we watch the debates the other night, the only thing I can say is this is a shit show, and we're living in a shit show world right now, because there's so much turmoil and reactions going on because of the stuff that we are being exposed to. So we're being fed fear, and then we're reacting out of that fear. And then what we say in the Dragonfly plan is, let's take a step back. We have a choice not to live in that fear. We have a choice not to have those opinions, those behaviors forced upon us. And we're going to return to who we authentically are. And you learn that by learning your doshic, your original makeup, your prakriti, and then you find out your current doshic makeup, which is Vikriti, and then you find out how far apart they are, and then our goal is to get our current makeup back into the original makeup. And then once we discover what that is, and we also take into play ethnicity too, because remember, Ayurveda is Indian based. Mm-hmm. And so it's based off of one ethnicity. And so in the Dragonfly plan, we take it a step further. We say, most of us aren't Indians. So we're going to take it and we're going to expand it a bit more into ethnicity, bring the ethnicity in, because remember, we want to honor your lineage. Yes. Whoever you are and whatever your background, your heritage is, it's very important that we all honor that. And so we take that into effect, bring it into the doshas, and then we create a whole plan for you on how to live life in balance that's authentic for you and not what the world tells you to be.
Yes. You know, one of the things that I like about the Dragonfly program is that it tries, the attempt is to accomplish some of the things that as a pastoral counselor that I have to attempt. So we talked a little bit about it, or you talked a little bit about identity. So as a pastoral counselor, I find that a huge percentage of the issues that people come to me for counseling with are identity issues. It's allowing something else to rule them instead of who they really are. And so whether it's counseling the way I do it, or whether it's through the program what we want to do is help you find your identity. We want to help you find your true self, not who culture says you are, not who society says you are. We want you to find a peace. We want you to know that you don't have to necessarily live your life in isolation, but there is a way to find some insulation from everything else that's going on in culture, the things that are causing the spike in anxiety, the spike in depression, the spike in, sadly enough, the spike in suicide, the spike in all these things that our country has been negatively affected with, even more so the last 6 or 8 months than probably any time in most of, unless anyone that's younger than 60 years old, probably the most the most.
You're reminding me of the presidential
driven.
Debate.
I'm reminding myself of it too. I'm like, geez. People are watching going, that's its own show.
Yeah.
So the people that have lived through some of the wars that we were at have experienced a tremendous amount of depression, anxiety, identity problems. And we have seen such a spike now because the last 2 or 3 generations of our culture has not seen, we saw 9/11, which was horrific, but we haven't seen a pandemic like this that has affected everything, and the constant bombardment of negative news and negativity.
Yes.
In our country right now.
Yes, and you and I, we both don't believe in living in fear. And so when the pandemic happened, we're still, scratching our heads. Now, hear our hearts. We're not saying that this virus isn't real. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, wait, but we're kind of forgetting here that we are placed such a great importance on these masks, when really we should be placing the greatest importance on your immune system and increasing your health and immunity. And we have no problem driving through McDonald's and getting a hamburger, but we sure have a problem with somebody not wearing a mask. So that's when we need to step back. And this is this world of crazy that I'm talking, this shit show world that we're living in, because there's no common sense behind any of it. None at all. And so what we do in the Dragonfly plan is to say, take a step back, take a breath, and let's return to who that we are, because we all have that still small voice right here in our hearts. And it's time in our knower. We have the knower within us. We know for each of us what is right and what is wrong. And if we were all operating from that place of knowing, or the knower, then we would all appreciate, honor, and respect everyone else's choices and decisions in their journey in this world, right? So let's talk about some of the things we do in the Dragonfly plan. This is just a really watered down version of it, of what we do to help people live a life of balance, and how this, we created, again, I want to emphasize, in the Dragonfly plan and in our membership, we've created an environment of peace. Corintha, the safe place. It's a safe place to get away from the world and to return and remember who you are. So one of the first things we do in the Dragonfly plan is we teach you learn how to find your Prakriti, your original makeup, and your Vikriti, your current status, your dosha status. And then we give you tools to help bring those back together. And so that your current status, your Vikriti, should be like your original makeup, your blueprint. And so then we teach you tools to recognize when those start to subtly go out of balance, right? So you look like you're up to something.
I'm not up to anything.
No.
I was just thinking, again, that you're such a blessed woman.
and so and recognizing, and then and then making conscious choices on making decisions in your life to help bring yourself back into balance. So honoring and recognizing it first and foremost, and then knowing that you have a choice. No matter what situation you are the choice. And if we are walking in balance, we should be able to endure and walk through any situation or event and it not trigger us. And if we are not being triggered and we're still breathing and feeling calm and peaceful, you got it. You know you've got it. And then the second thing is we learn how to, well, I just talked about that, the effects of everything on our doshas. Everything is food. And then the third thing, turn off the noise. We want to turn off the noise of the world and return to that knower. Learn, and most of us haven't heard the knower in years.
Yeah.
And so it's returning to the knower and getting to know that. We do that through yoga, meditation, prayer, spiritual readings of your choice. That's one of the ways we return to the knower and get back in touch with our knower. And then the fourth one is we begin to implement change that lines up with your original doshic makeup. So my change may look different than your change.
Sure, I hope it does.
It will look different than your change. And so whatever's caused me to be out of balance due to my life experiences, my prakriti, everything, education, everything has made whatever I experience is going to be different than how you experience it. And so we learn to recognize it first and foremost, because if we're not conscious, then we won't recognize it and we won't be able to change. And then the fourth thing is that we use yoga practices. I think I said meditation, breath practice. We use foods as medicine, foods and herbs as medicine to bring the body back in balance, because the body is sick. It's everything. Remember, we're all connected in this tripartite being. So we're all connected within ourselves. And if one thing is out of balance, if we're spiritually out of balance, we are not going to be whole and healthy and be in our authentic self, right? And so we want to we want to feed all three parts of our being and make sure that it's balanced, and therefore we can go out to the world and live in our authentic self. So that is what we're going to be learning in the Dragonfly Plan. If you don't want to do the Dragonfly Cleanse, we do have a membership that is opening up, which has all the tools of meditation, yoga. I've got recipes in there, all that. But I do invite you to join us in this cleanse. We're going to cleanse your life and then begin to implement the tools of these practices to bring balance and completion to your life. So you can live in a shit show world and be perfectly peaceful and harmonious. True. It is true. You can do it. You don't have to live like a monk. The thing that is so key takeaway here is, and so remember, we're all humans, and I'm not perfect. I'm not a guru. I know tools. I know how to recognize. I know how to implement them, but I'm still on the journey myself. And so I was triggered. Oh, geez, we need to find another word for that. Is there another counseling term for that? I don't like that word. That triggered me. I'm going to just say that just pissed me off. I like that better than trigger. So in watching the debates the other night and watching the behaviors and then watching the reactions of other people reacting to those behaviors, it made me realize I have a lot of work to do on myself still. And we all do. You know what? As long as we're living as in this human being body, living a human being experience, we're all on this journey together. And so that's why we can't be hard on each other when we mess up and we trigger. And then we react in a triggered way. And so but it's not my responsibility to say, you need some healing from that. It is your responsibility to recognize you need healing from it and then make the choices to start incorporating the modalities to create a healing environment and then move forward. And we're all working on ourselves and instead of trying to work on each other, then we would all be working in our ethnicity. Other than, us ladies, we got to work on our.
Yes. So I know that's a scripture somewhere that.
Ladies, tell your husband what to do.
Time-wise, we need to start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
But for those of you that are still with us, Annette shared a lot of good things that the Dragonfly Plan is going to do. I want to add just something. You mentioned a couple things, that everything we do is food. Mm-hmm. Everything we see that comes into our eyes, everything we hear, things we smell can be a food to us. But there's something interesting enough that we do live in a culture where we are pretty self-absorbed, where we pretty much have our eyes on ourselves, which in itself can lead to a whole lot of anxiety and depression. And so I'm going to bring some spirituality into this as we close things up. In the Bible, Jesus made a statement to his disciples. He said, "My food is to fulfill the purpose for my life. My food is to do the will for my life." And so many times when we get turned inward, we forget about all the other people around us. And one of the ways, and we're going to include this, there's a section in the program that we're going to talk about it. So part of overcoming and living free from anxiety and depression, there's a lot of things we can do, and we could probably go 2 or 3 weeks and talk about that in itself. But one of the things we do is, as we do for others, as we do things for others and get our eyes off of ourselves and onto the needs of others, it cannot do it can't do anything but help the level of anxiety.
There's like a fine line, isn't there, between healing and self-absorption and then serving, right? And so just like everything else, is like balance. And so we need to heal in order to serve, but we can't serve unless we're healed. But if we spend too much time working on ourselves, we become self-absorbed, right? So a balance in everything. And so like heal and serve, where we are only here to heal ourselves so that we may serve.
Right. And when we recognize that, for example, my purpose has basically nothing to do with me, but it has everything to do with serving and ministering to the people around me. And she lets me know when I'm not ministering to the people around me. But when we feel like our purpose is something that puffs us up, we miss the point altogether. And if I'm focusing on serving and helping other people, that does not leave me out. It doesn't mean that I'm neglected, because if we all have the same attitude that my focus is serving other people, then everyone around me will see to it that I'm served to some degree too, when I need to be served, or when there's something in my life that's lacking that I need help in. Listen, we all need help. We all need each other. We need a community. We need to belong. And we want to invite everyone that has been watching, that's part of the Dragonfly program. Plenty of Cleanse.
See you tonight.
We welcome you, and we'll see you tonight. For those that are still on the fence, there's plenty of room. And so we want to see you on the inside and becoming a part of something. Life is always about something that's bigger than ourselves. And serving each other is part of that.
Just make the investment in yourself so that you can go out and be who you're meant to be.
So as we close this out, I want to speak a blessing over all your lives again. So as we close this out, I speak blessings into your lives and upon your lives of love, joy, peace, physical well-being and health, abundance of all things, and the spiritual awareness to know our own significance, our value, and our purpose. Have a great day.
Namaste.